One evening, the drummer wandered alone in the middle of the field. When he came to the lake, he saw 3 white shirts and said, "Nice, smooth fabric." Then he put one in his pocket. When he got home, he forgot about the lute and went to bed. Just as he fell asleep, he suddenly heard a voice calling him very softly, "Drummer, drummer, wake up." It was dark, so he could N and #39 recognize anyone, but he clearly saw a shadow hovering over his bed. He asked, "What does that person want?" A voice replied, "Please give me back the shirt you held by the lake at night." The drummer replied, "If you tell me who it is, I will return the shirt." A voice replied, "Oh my God, I was originally the daughter of a powerful country and number 39's king. Unfortunately, I fell into the hands of a witch, and I was banished to the Glass Mountain. Every day my 3 sisters and I go to the lake to bathe. My 2 sisters came home, but I could N and #39 go home because I didn't and #39 have a shirt. Please give me back my shirt." He beat the drum and said, "I am willing to return the shirt, you can rest assured, poor girl." He took the shirt out of his pocket and gave it to the other person in the dim darkness. The girl raised her hand to receive the shirt and was about to leave immediately, but he said, "Wait, maybe I can help you. If you want to save me from the witch and number 39's magic, you must go to the Glass Mountain. Even if you reach the foot of the Glass Mountain, you 1 and number 39's be able to climb the mountain." The drummer replied, "I can do whatever I want. I Don and number 39's know what fear is. I love you very much. But I Don and number 39's know the way to get there." The girl replied, "The road goes through a large forest. There is a group of cannibals. I and number 39's only allowed to tell you that." Soon he only heard the sound of the wind and the girl disappeared. The next day, as soon as it was dawn, the drummer woke up, put the drum on his shoulder and went straight to the forest, his heart completely at peace. Going into the deep forest, he played the drum and still didn't and #39 see anyone. He thought, "I have to wake up those people who are napping." He brought the drum forward and banged it for a while, causing the birds to stir up and fly away. A moment later, a giant sleeping on the grass rose up, standing as tall and lanky as a pine tree. He said, "Hey kid, why are you banging the drum so loudly that I woke up from a good night and number 39's sleep?" He replied, "We beat the drum to give thousands of people direction to come here." The giant said, "What are they planning to do in my forest?" "They came to end your life, to clear the forest of monsters like you." The giant replied, "That and number 39's good, but I will trample all of you to death like ants." The drummer replied, "Don and number 39's think so, you can and number 39's do anything to them. Before you could even raise your foot, they jumped away and disappeared. Wait until you are asleep, then they will pull you out, climb on top of you, pull out an iron hammer from their belt and smash your head off." The giant became bored and thought, "Playing with these mischievous people will only harm you. We can catch a wolf or a bear and kill them. But these earthworms are no joke." Then he said, "Listen here, boy, go away. From now on I will never dare to mess with you and your accomplices. But I and number 39's am also willing to lend a hand if you need it." He beat the drum and said, "With tall legs like yours, you can run very fast, so please carry me to the glass mountain, so I can signal my accomplices to retreat, leaving you alone." The giant said, "Come here, brat, climb on my shoulder, I will take you there." The giant lifted him onto his shoulders, sat on his shoulders and played a drum. The giant thought to himself, maybe he beat the drum to signal his comrades to withdraw. After walking a bit, he met another giant. He lifted him from the other man and number 39's shoulder and sat him in a buttonhole the size of a ceramic basin. Sitting there, he seemed interested, looking back and forth. Then he met a third guy. This guy let him sit on the brim of his hat. Sitting there, he freely watched, looking through the treetops. He saw a mountain in the distance. He thought to himself, "That must be a mountain of glass. That is the glass mountain." The giant walked a short while before reaching the foot of the mountain. He placed him on the ground. He beat the drum and asked him to take him up the mountain, but he shook his head, muttered something and then turned back into the forest. Now in front of the poor drummer was a sky-high mountain, as if it were 3 mountains overlapping each other. The mountainside was as smooth as a mirror. He didn't and #39 know how to climb it. He climbed up a little and then slid back down again. He thought to himself, "If only I were a bird." But no matter how much wishes help, wings still cannot grow because of that. While he was standing there wondering what to do, he saw 2 people arguing loudly. He walked towards them, and saw them arguing because of the saddle thrown on the ground. Everyone wanted to take the saddle. He said, "Are you crazy? You Don and number 39 have a horse, but you and number 39 fighting over the saddle." One of the 2 men replied, "Because the saddle is very precious, that and number 39's why we fight over it. Wherever you want to go, even to the end of the world, just sit on the saddle, say where you want to go, and in a blink of an eye it will take you there." The saddle was originally shared. Today it was my turn to use it, but he refused. He beat the drum and said, "Then let me decide this matter." Then he walked a long distance and placed a white stake as a landmark. When he returned, he said, "The white stake is the finish line. Now 2 people run. Whoever gets to the finish line first gets to sit still first." As they raced, he beat the drum and sat on the saddle, saying he wished to be taken to the glass mountain. Before he could finish turning his hand, the saddle took him there. On the mountain is a flat strip. There is a stone house. In front of the house is a fish pond. Behind the house is a dark forest. He did not see any human or animal figures, only saw the wind blowing and swaying the treetops, and clouds drifting lazily above his head. He walked over and knocked on the door. When he knocked on the door for the 3rd time, an old woman with a dark face and fire-red eyes opened the door. She wore a pair of glasses on her long, hooked nose, glared at him and asked him what he wanted. The drummer replied, "Let me come into the house, feed me and let me sleep." The old woman said, "Yes, if you will do 3 things for me." He replied, "Why refuse? I and number 39 am not lazy, and I and number 39 am not afraid of difficulties or hardships." She let him into the house, fed him and arranged a bed for him to sleep. The next morning, when he was asleep, the old woman pulled out her gloves, revealing her spindly fingers. She gave him the gloves and said, "Take these gloves and go drain the pond in front of the door. At home, Before it gets dark, you have to finish cleaning the pond, catch all the fish and classify them, each item in that category." The drummer said, "What a strange thing." Having said that, he still went to the pond to scoop water. The pond is so big, but the water scooping tool is the size of a glove. Even if it lasts for 1,000 years, it won. And number 39, tea dry up? Slapping from morning to noon without feeling any improvement, he thought, slapping or not slapping, it and number 39 's the same, that and number 39 's the end of it. Then he sat down to think. At that moment a girl came out of the house, carrying a bag of food and giving it to him. She said, "Why do you look so sad? Is there anything wrong?" He raised his eyes and saw a beautiful girl in front of him. He said, "Oh my God, the first task probably can and number 39 t be done, so how can the other tasks be done? I left to find the princess on the glass mountain. I could n and hash 39 t see her anywhere. Maybe I had to continue on my way." The girl said, "Just stay here. I will help you overcome this difficulty. If you and number 39 retired, please put your head on my lap and sleep. When you wake up, the job will be done." Didn't and hash 39 t have to wait to invite him a second time. When he fell asleep, the other girl turned her magic ring and wished, "Drain the water, catch fish on shore." Immediately the water rose and rolled into the air like white mist, drifting away with the clouds. The fish just jump onto the shore, each type belongs to that type. When the drummer woke up, he was surprised to see that everything was done. The girl also said, "There is a fish lying in a separate place without lying with its own kind." When she came to see and saw that everything was exactly as she had told her, she would ask, "Why is this fish lying alone?" Then you should immediately throw the fish in her face and say, "Leave it to her, witch." At dusk the witch came, saw everything, then asked why there was one fish lying alone. At that moment he beat the drum and threw that fish right in her face. She stood there, saying nothing, as if nothing had happened, but she looked at him with eyes full of anger. Early the next morning, she said, "Yesterday and number 39 's work was so easy. It and number 39 's harder to get a job today. From now until evening, we must cut down all of this forest, split it into firewood, and stack it into piles." She gave him an axe, a machete and 2 wedges, all made of tin. He had only been working for a while when the axe twisted its blade, the machete and wedge were crushed. He no longer knows how to manage. At noon, a girl brought him food and said comfortingly, "Please put your head on my lap and sleep. When you wake up, the job will be done." The girl turned the magic ring again and made a wish. In just a blink of an eye, the whole forest moved, creaked, the tree fell with a loud crash, split into firewood, and the firewood jumped together into piles. People have the impression that things are done by invisible giants. When the drummer woke up, the girl said, "As you can see, the wood has been cut and stacked into piles. There is only one odd branch left." Tonight, when the old woman came, she would ask why there was still a branch left. At that moment, he picked up the branch and shouted at her, saying, "And quat. Leave it to her, witch. And quat." As soon as she arrived, she immediately said, "See, it and number 39 's easy. But who is that branch for?" He replied, "Leave it to you, witch." Then he took the branch and whipped her. She tried to ignore. It smiled sarcastically and said, "The third thing is to pile the whole forest into a big pile of firewood and burn it all down for me." Early in the morning, he got up and moved small piles together. But how could one person move an entire forest into big piles of firewood? The whole day, I didn't and hash 39 T transfer much. At noon, a girl brought him food. She did not leave him in difficult times. After eating, he laid his head on her lap and fell asleep. When he woke up, he beat the drum and saw fire burning brightly in the sky, the flame flickering to the blue clouds. The girl said to him, "Listen to me, when you come here the witch will show you all kinds of things to do. Dawn and number 39. Be afraid, just do it. If you panic, the fire will lick you and burn you to ashes immediately." After finishing everything, he immediately grabbed the witch and threw her into the middle of the red fire. When the girl was gone, the witch crept up and said, "Oh my God, I and number 39 am freezing all over. But this red fire is probably warm enough to warm old bones. Wow, how pleasant. Hey, in the fire, why is there a piece of wood that doesn't and hash 39 burn? Take it out for me. Once you and number 39 they done this, you and number 39 be free to go wherever you want. Just go to your heart and number 39's content." Without thinking for long, he jumped into the middle of the fire, took out the log and gave it to her. The fire never reached the roots of his hair. As soon as it touched the ground, the log immediately turned into a beautiful girl. Her clothes were made of shiny silk as if woven with gold thread. He played the drum and immediately recognized that it was the girl who had helped him in difficult times, the princess. At that moment, with a sinister smile, the witch said, "You thought you were there, but you weren't and hash 39 She was about to come and drag the girl away, but he beat the drum to stop her, immediately grabbed her and threw her into the middle of the fire. The fire burned brighter as if he was also cheering for eliminating the evil witch. The princess looked up at the strong man. She remembered the man who was not afraid of difficulties and dangers to free her. She gave him her hand to kiss and said, "For you, I do not regret even my life. I am also willing to do everything for you. I will be your life partner, if I have a faithful love." We lack nothing in life. The amount of treasure the witch has gathered is more than enough for us to use for the rest of our lives. She led the drummer into the house. The house was full of chests and boxes containing gold, silver, and jewels. The two of them only took the jewels. The princess said she did not want to stay long on the glass mountain. He beat the drum and said, "Then sit on the saddle and we will fly away like birds." She said, "I don and number 39 like that old saddle. I just need to turn the ring and wish that the two of us will be home in the blink of an eye." He beat the drum and said, "That and number 39's great, you should wish to return to the city gate." In the blink of an eye the two were there. He beat the drum and said, "Now I want to go home and tell my parents the news. You wait here, I and number 39'll be right back." The princess told him, "Oh, remember what I said, Don and number 39 kiss my parents on the right cheek. Otherwise I will be confused, forget all the promises, and leave you standing alone in the middle of the field." He replied, "How could I forget you?" He kissed her hand and promised to return soon. At home, No one recognizes him anymore, because his appearance has changed so much. 3 days on the glass mountain are as long as 3 years on Earth. After hearing him tell all the story, his parents were extremely happy and hugged their son. So emotional. He forgot the princess and number 39's advice and kissed both cheeks. When he kissed his father and mother on the right cheeks, he no longer remembered to think of her. He emptied his pocket and placed large pearls on them. His parents didn't and #39 know what to do with all that wealth. His father built a magnificent building, surrounded by gardens, forests, and meadows, like the mansion of a lord of a region. When the house was finished, his mother said, "I have already chosen my bride, and in 3 days I will have a wedding for you too." Now whatever his parents want, he agrees. And the poor princess kept waiting for him at the gate in front of the city gate. As it got dark, she thought, maybe he kissed his parents on the right cheek so he forgot his wish. Her heart was filled with sadness. She wished she lived in a lonely hut in the forest. She no longer had the heart to return to the palace. Every evening she would enter the city, pass in front of his house. Occasionally he would see a girl passing by the house, but he could not recognize who it was. One day, she heard people saying to each other, "Tomorrow there and number 39's a wedding in that family." At that time she thought, "Let and number 39's try, maybe his heart still belongs to me." On the first wedding day, she turned the magic ring and wished, "I wish I had a dress that sparkled like the sun." Immediately the shirt appeared right in front of her. It sparkled as if it were woven from the sun and number 39's rays. When the guests arrived, she immediately entered the room. Everyone was surprised to see the beautiful dress. The most surprised was the bride. Having always loved beautiful clothes, the bride immediately walked up to the stranger and asked if he would sell them to her. The other person replied, "I don and number 39's take money. If I can stay the wedding night in front of the groom and number 39's room, I and number 39's am willing to give it all for free." Due to her desire to have beautiful clothes, the bride immediately agreed. To keep the groom from waking up, the bride mixed sleeping pills into the groom and number 39's night wine. Waiting for the quiet of the night, the princess gingerly opened the chamber door and called in, "Drummer, listen to what I say, free from the hands of witches." Even though it was difficult, but the matter of 100 years, I still wonder. Very. All of that was for nothing. The drummer still could N and #39 wake up. The next morning, the princess had no choice but left without getting anything. On Monday night, the princess turned the magic ring again and wished, "I wish to give me a silver shirt that sparkles like the moonlight." Seeing the beautiful dress sparkling silver like the moonlight, the bride made a wish and agreed to let the person delivering the shirt stay overnight in front of the groom and number 39's bedroom. Just in the middle of a quiet night, she sang, "Drummer, listen to what I say, out of the hands of witches." Even though it and number 39's difficult, but a story of 100 years, I and number 39 am still very worried. But how can you wake up someone who has taken a dose of sleeping pills? The next morning, the princess sadly returned to her small house in the forest. Other people there heard her lamenting and told the story to the groom. They also said that because he drank alcohol and sleeping pills, he slept so deeply that he could not hear anything. Tuesday night, the princess turned her magic ring again and made a wish. "I wish I wore a dress that sparkled like a sparkling star." When she entered the ceremony room, the bride immediately saw that the shirt the other person was wearing was much more beautiful than the shirt she had, so she was stunned. The bride thought, "I must have that shirt and must definitely possess it." Yes. Just like before, to get the shirt, the bride agreed to let the person delivering the shirt spend the night in front of the groom and number 39's bedroom. Tonight, the groom did not drink wine before going to bed, but poured the wine behind the bed. Just in the quiet of the night, he heard a gentle voice calling him, "Drummer, listen to what I say, free from the witch." Although it was difficult, but a matter of 100 years, still very disturbing. Suddenly, his memory reminded him of the past. He exclaimed, "Oh my God! How could I be so ungrateful? While I was too emotional, I kissed my parents on the right cheek. That was the mistake that caused my confusion." Then he stood up, took the princess and number 39's hand, led her to his parents and number 39's bed and said, "This is the real bride. You will commit a great sin if you marry someone else." When they heard the story clearly, his parents also agreed. The lights in the large room were brightly lit, the sound of trumpets and drums sounded again. Relatives were invited to the real wedding of the princess with the drummer. The wedding was held splendidly and jubilantly. The bride kept the beautiful dresses that she loved, so she was very satisfied. Thank you for joining us for today's fairy tale. We hope these stories bring joy and meaning to your day. If you love our channel, please hit the subscribe button so you won't miss any exciting tales. Wishing you a good night and sweet dreams. See you in the next story.